Well, this is a new position. I don't find myself on the outer fringes of the couch when we usually talk about movies. But today, we saw kind of a fringe movie.
Hey, by the way, what is it like sitting in the middle? I've never experienced
I
that.
feel powerful.
Dude,
And also, like, for some reason, my opinion matters a lot more.
yes.
Huh, so that's what it's like.
Yes. Being, having two strapping young bucks on either side of you. Yeah, I get it.
I can hardly contain myself.
Well,
Don't oversell it, Daria, but...
honestly, it's more like 10 strapping young bucks. If you count that man.
But yeah, we saw a pretty fringy movie, all things considered.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a superhero movie that, one, did not have anything to do with the world ending. Two, did not have had nothing to do with the world ending.
The stakes were actually
pretty
appropriately proportioned?
Yeah, appropriately proportioned. Exactly.
Oh my god.
How's
In
that?
a Marvel movie?
So, but yes, for a superhero movie, this is a very, very personal movie. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, and especially for an X-Men movie. I mean, like, the X-Men, the Wolverine movies, that are now 3 of them, have always been, like, okay, we always made the X-Men movies about Wolverine. Let's just drop all pretense and just make Wolverine movies.
Yeah.
Which, granted, if you're going to do it, do it. Don't try to dress it up as an X-Men movie. But the first time they did it, I think we all remember how that turned out.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
The second time, I felt was okay, nice distraction. Not very memorable one way or the other, even though we got, even though we got some, Silver Samurai, we got some of the more extraneous Marvel characters in the X-Men universe that, I remember growing up with, and, I was like, hey, bye. I didn't need to see this movie again. But finally here in Logan, it's all come full circle. And I have to say that I'm going to give a recommendation for it, but a very soft recommendation.
Really?
I mean, I liked it enough, but I can't see me watching this movie again. Unless I'm trying to pass the time.
I disagree, but I agree and disagree. This is the best movie I never want to watch again. It was so good, but it is emotionally draining. So emotionally draining. Like, there are several points in the film where you're just on your seat and just going like, oh god, no. It's intense. It's super intense. But I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. The performances were great. The setting, they actually strived to be as realistic as possible. I know that sounds strange dealing with X-Men and stuff, but it felt like it was our world. It really, really did.
I mean, that was definitely the most realistic and planted vision of a future I have ever seen in movies. At least on Sage Versus. I mean, the movie is set in 2032, but it doesn't look like 2032. General thoughts?
Yeah. I think I enjoyed it as much as you did. I'm pointing at Amy. But I understand what I think I understand what it was that didn't win you over as much as us. And for me, what that was that it dragged its feet a little bit too much for me.
I don't know. It did feel long.
It spun its wheels at a few times, and it got a little bit overly symbolic.
It felt like it...
Symbolic?
Yeah.
How?
Well, like, just obvious symbolism. Well, I mean, like, when the kid's watching Shane.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, it's about what was that? It was like about a guy's a deputy or a cowboy's going to have to do one last hurrah or something. And
yeah, it's
I can't remember.
It breaks one of the main rules of movie making. Don't put a better movie in your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, so a kid. So the trailer spoils it that it's X-23, but that she's watching Shane, and it gets to that point where Shane, is talking to the kid about like how you can't escape your violent past and you can't resolve yourself of what you've done, and I'm thinking, are you telling me that's going to be the code? Like, you could not neon light that coda of your movie any more broadly, any more brightly, rather.
Was Shane? Was he a sheriff? Was it about a sheriff or something?
No, he was a
I can't
former. He was a
remember.
former outlaw.
Ah, that's what it was.
He was a former outlaw, and then his past caught up to him, and
Okay, I was a little vague on that. I knew the reference. I just couldn't. I didn't remember the details.
yeah, it's.
Okay.
Basically, the plot of Red Dead Redemption.
I mean, listen, Red Dead Redemption was like a pastiche of all great westerns into one, and that's why Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm hype. I am the hype for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, you still haven't showed me one.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
I need to
You
see
never
it.
played it?
No, I mean until
Dude, you gotta play it.
a lot of my gaming experiences over the past 10 years has been watching him play through games because I never had any of the consoles because I had a gaming addiction and I had to cut myself off.
Damn, dude, it's all coming out now.
Oh,
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying that like a matter of fact. It
While
definitely
we're
isn't.
confessing things, I gotta tell you guys,
Yeah.
this isn't my natural hair color.
No.
I know.
As a matter of fact, it's not a woman at all. Ace Ventura.
That you have better control over female hormones. Whipped.
Oh, the jokes I'm gonna see on this one.
You started the path. You started the path, and I'm the one who took it to a point that it didn't need to go to.
So blame him.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say something you guys said. Ah, crap, I forgot. Something about the movie.
That's okay. I get a lot of stuff about not being a man. So if
Mario!
we're both in it.
Mario!
I think we're probably gonna go into spoiler territory to talk about this movie a little bit.
I wish you wouldn't, because I really do recommend people see this.
So that's why we're gonna put the partition off right now. If you care about seeing this movie and you don't want to be spoiled, cut it off right here. Say,
Yeah.
see the movie. I mean, 2 strong recommendations, 1 kind of weak recommendation, but I think it's pretty much on the face of it universal. Recommendation.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, let's just be honest with each other. It was way better than any of the other, at least Wolverine movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt, it's the best Wolverine movie.
And that's probably the first question you're asking is like, how does it compare to the other two?
I think it's better than all the X-Men movies
Yeah.
I've seen. It's my favorite. for sure.
I'm thinking about like the First Class. I think I liked First Class more, and I can watch First Class more.
And that's fine, but I just think that I personally think it was a better made movie. The writing, the performances, the setting, the tone, it was all brilliant.
Yeah.
Every performance was just on point. Patrick Stewart, oh my god, made me cry 3 times in the movie, 3 times. Like, even the girl they got to play Laura, it was incredible, and she didn't even speak for half the film.
More than half. It's like she didn't even speak until like the middle of the 3rd act.
But still, just through her facial expressions, like, she nailed it. She really did. And, obviously, I don't really put a lot of faith in child actors. But
does she?
impeccable casting with this one.
Yeah, she definitely has a future ahead of her, and I'm excited to see her in future projects.
Well, not just that, but, I mean, because X-23 is one of my favorite comic characters of all time. And I swear, she looks just like her from the comic book Nyx. Just like her, like eyes, expression, everything. It was dead on. It was quite shocking. They even took some scenes directly out of the comic that I noticed. Like the part where she's sitting after getting her adamantium surgery done. She's just sitting there just, kind of all PTSD, staring off into space, cutting her wrists and watching herself heal over and over. Things like that. And it was pretty intense.
So they kept that scene, but kept out the incest Hulk family. I mean,
That's right,
they
you
also
were
kept
looking
out the
forward to that.
prostitution, which
yeah.
is always good.
I mean, I forgot who wrote it. Was it Mark Millar or?
I don't know.
Like I forgot offhand, but oh boy, you wanna take an interesting take on the X-Men mythos. Old Man Logan. I mean, I can't think of a better way for that character to meet his end than how he did. Spoilers: he dies, which I called.
Everybody dies.
Yeah,
Everybody dies.
Not that we're trying to compare this to Rogue One. This was a really good movie.
Oh, well, because the characters have. What are you trying to do? Like the putting salt meme?
Like I never really do it well. I even do
How
that
did that go,
awkwardly.
Bennett?
That's how I put salt.
How
I'm
did
like,
that go?
bam.
Thank you.
I just
Just like
hurl it in there. Yeah.
Emerald Lagasse over here. Bam, bam,
Bam.
We're bringing him back. You owe us one, Emerald. But
Well, in this case, no, I don't think we're bringing him back. Then
no.
there's no being brought back from that, I'm afraid.
I think we just buried him deeper than the New Day.
I must have missed something. What happened? Did something happen controversial to him that I was completely under a rock for?
No, it was. He's just. I think he buried himself with his fucking sitcom. I don't think he ever really.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe there's something.
That was like 15 years ago. But again, we're just.
Yeah.
But
I didn't lay the tracks for this derail.
No, I did not. You did not. I mean, rather, you did not. It was just we just kind of. Oh God, we teeter-tottered our way off the tracks.
You can always at least count on me to be along for
You're
the
good
ride,
at
though.
that.
Mm-hmm.
You're very, very good at that.
Yeah, but I gave this movie a kind of a soft recommendation, and to really go into why, it's more about everything it tried to do was done better by Shane. So it feels like I just wish I was watching Shane right now.
I've never actually seen the movie, so maybe that's why I enjoyed this so much.
I mean,
I might go watch Shane and be like, well, that was too much like Logan.
or I mean, like, it feels like the movie wants to be a more personal look at the character, and I'm all for that. But the way it went about it with these broadly stroked acts, the shot of Logan's bloodied hand being held by X-23's bloodied hand, it's like, yeah.
I admit, a lot of it was terribly on the nose. In particular, the last shot of the movie, which we will definitely get to.
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely heavy-handed, but again, it didn't bother me. It should have, but it didn't. I just liked the movie too damn much to care.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of theories about the ending, man.
I thought it was going to play like I thought it was going to pull Batman and v Superman at the end.
Like, did you know that if you take the ending and
you put it on its side,
you put it on its side and you compare it to a Garfield sketch. Okay.
But let's rein it back here. Let's rein it back, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, did you know that the other day I came across 2 sticks that were just like that? I mean, they weren't like standing upright; they were just like on the ground.
You sure the Blair Witch isn't coming after your ass?
He's quoting Garfield. He's quoting Lasagna Cat. So.
Okay, am I the only person who hasn't heard of this?
No. There's a
no idea what you're talking about.
Trust me, there's a lot of people who haven't.
Yeah,
but this has nothing to do with the movie.
Hopefully, at this point, it'll get better.
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Moving right along. Besides the fact that it was very on the nose, too much on the nose, I felt like the writing especially felt a little repetitive. Like there were so many times where characters say the exact same thing over and over again, where it seems just kind of felt like they kind of didn't we already have this scene? Let's kind of move it along, and it's also kind of unintentionally funny. Too many times for me to think that can't have been on purpose.
Like when?
Like the first time we see Charles Xavier, he's quoting a Taco Bell commercial.
That was
meant to
pretty
be funny.
awesome.
That was supposed to be like kind of tragic but funny because it's
like if you want something to be serious, don't you put Taco Bell in it?
Well, did you think? Well, I mean, for the obvious product placement, do you think they knew that was how it was going to be dropped by some crazy, rambling, dementia-riddled, powerful man talking about chalupas?
Well, I guess what really bugged me about it is that it never happened again. It was the only time that happened.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Well, they explained why though.
Yeah, like when he's off his meds, but he said he hadn't taken his meds in 2 days, and so it didn't happen again. So, like, does he hold like? I'm guessing like he heard a Taco Bell commercial, which I think it was. Like, the more I fractalize the scene, the funnier it is to me. Seeing Professor Xavier wheel around in an empty grain silo, just quoting Taco Bell commercials.
But it was funny, huh?
It was funny, but tragic because of why he's doing it, but it's funny.
I did more of those moments.
The only issues I do have with the film are quite nitpicky. That being one, I suppose. The other was the bad CGI. There was some pretty crappy CGI fights in this. And then, again, there's, like you said about just the contrivance, there are several scenes where the characters end up somewhere, and you have no idea how.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit too convenient. It's basically like the first Star Trek movie where it's just a string of just perfect coincidences one after the other.
Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose, like, X-23 arrived where Caliban and Logan are housing Professor Xavier because she snuck into the limo in the trunk.
I think so, but
But we never see it, and we're just kind of only hinted at that, but it's like, how the fuck did she get here? And why did she do it? And
how the fuck do they get anywhere?
And if I recall, Xavier never really could predict the future.
no, not really.
That wasn't his shtick.
No.
So it's not like he could have known that she was gonna be there,
No.
and thus, or tried to be at the place where she would be somehow. It doesn't make sense.
Like, especially without Cerebro, he's just, you know, he just exists. Like, he's just there, and he says, like, she's the one who I've been telling you about. Like, apparently, like, he felt her presence somehow, I guess.
Well, in the very beginning, he mentioned that he was talking to her telepathically across the distance. Because that's what Xavier does.
Yeah.
That's what Xavier does, but I find it amazing that, like, did he talk to Caliban? It's like, I think there's another mutant out there somewhere. And, like, and then he, like, specifically searched for her? Or was it just a happy coincidence that their minds met? Especially him after he's been going, like, in his Alzheimer's.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Also, Caliban was like the albino Nosferatu guy.
Played by David Merchant, which I
that
love.
was really cool.
Yeah.
I like that character. He was good.
Yeah.
But he never really did much in this movie. That was kind of sad.
Well, he was a plot device. He was a plot device.
Basically,
Yeah, it's
a
just that-
human MacGuffin.
He could, sniff out other mutants. Well, like I say, like a pig to truffles. But they never really shown him doing any of that tracking. Like when he's in there, when they take him, commandeer him, and have him do that line of work, it didn't.
They drop a hint that he used to work for the same agency that made X-23,
Yeah.
but they don't say in what capacity or why he left or why they didn't go after him when he left.
Yeah.
I will give you that. The character in itself seemed a bit pointless.
Yeah, I felt like they could have had a little bit more going on with him.
It just felt like him was like he was just there to explain how the bad guys kept finding them.
Yeah.
And then they find the photograph with the coordinates of where they're going, and it just felt like, okay, fine, whatever. Go ahead, just. I mean, I'm not the biggest David Merchant fan in the world. I always found his turn as Wheatley in Portal 2 to be annoying. I know that's his shtick, but that's just...
Well, I mean, it's Wheatley.
Yeah, I know it's Wheatley, but, like, I can't tell you how many times people loved Wheatley, like, said that they gushed about Wheatley in there.
Well, he's supposed to be annoying.
He was supposed to be annoying, but people still found him endearing. I just found him wholesale annoying, and I wanted him out of my game. Especially since he was the only person who talked to you for, like, the first half of the game.
Oh, so that was your incentive to beat Portal.
Portal 2 is like, I didn't know that he was going to turn evil until like the first half of the game ended, so, spoilers. But it just felt like, oh no, I'm going to listen to this chucklehead talk at me for the next 8 hours. Fuck this.
I guess so.
Yeah, kind of like a Q.
Not even a Q, because Q at the very least still had like some semblance of like purpose. Like when he talked to you, he didn't double back on what he just said. That's what I found so infuriating. He'll say something, but then he'll double back on what he just said.
I've never played Portal.
Well, okay, again, going back to the movie, we're going off in way too many tangents
Right, so
here.
Portal.
So yes, the Portal. Portal the movie. Another thing that, but what I did like about this movie, although this was probably not the movie's intention, but I like this movie by virtue of the fact that it just reminded me of The Last of Us, and I'm probably not the only person who is going to be, making the same connection.
Yeah, definitely did.
I mean, the plot setup is basically Lone Wolf and Cub, and that's tried and tested story mechanic, and when it's done right, it's done right. It's very good.
Well, but he didn't really open up to Laura until the very end, and again, I think they're doing a lot of nods to the comics that they didn't even necessarily have to. They've changed her origin slightly, but he really didn't give two shits about her until pretty close to the end. And just seeing that kind of develop over the film, it was very, very well done. It's very well done. I mean, I believed the relationship. I know you were laughing at Patrick Stewart, but the man gave an incredible performance. is something that it seems almost inconceivable. Like, this character that's so powerful and patriarchal and loving, just reduced to this just pathetic shell of this rambling thing. What do you do when the world's most powerful psychic goes senile? That is incredibly dangerous, and they really, really don't shy away from that.
Tinfoil hats.
If only.
Definitely.
Well, on that same note, though, the action scenes were very well done, despite the crappy CGI, like I said.
And the frenetic camera. I mean,
CGI didn't bother me that much. It usually does.
It did
movies,
to me
but...
because it was just way too obvious. It's like, really, I mean, you guys couldn't find a gymnast to do X-23's stunt moves, because she looked like one of those, those rubber octopus that you just throw against the window and it goes.
Yeah.
That's what her fight scenes looked like for a lot.
They were a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one scene in the movie. I never thought an action scene so slow could still be that exciting.
Oh, when Logan is fighting against the paralysis.
Yeah, they go to Vegas and a bunch of the agents.
It's not Vegas. It's Oklahoma City.
Whatever. Bright lights, flashing things, hotels. I don't care.
Hotel, casino. You're thinking Las Vegas, but it's like, no, why would... If they're going up to North Dakota from El Paso, why are they going to go all the way up to Nevada to swerve back?
I don't know. Not them.
Well, and then you remember, oh yeah, there's Indian reservations in Oklahoma, so I guess there would be casinos in Oklahoma City.
But there's a slow-mo action sequence, basically, that I thought was really well done. It was super tense, and this is all I can say. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that you didn't like it as much as I did. I freaking love the movie. I mean, I'm pretty invested because I love the character of X-23, and I think they really, really did her justice, and I really want to see more of her moving forward.
I think it all comes down to, like, I can appreciate the movie for its action scenes because I was right there with you. I mean, the frenetic pace of the fight, of the editing and the camera work where the whip pans around when X-23 is flipping over soldiers and, impaling them from the chin up to the skull and such.
Oh, man.
The
money shots in this film are on point.
They are on point.
But from that perspective, I'm on your side. I felt like the movie did its job in getting you invested in what's happening in the fight scenes. But unlike most movies that use that same kind of dictatorial pacing and that same kind of frantic camera work, you're still able to follow what's happening, if only because it knows where the focus of the frame should be, and the eye can follow it fairly well. And I will agree with you also that the best part of the movie for me was that slow-mo action scene when Wolverine is fighting against mental paralysis to kill pretty much all the soldiers that had Professor Xavier, at gunpoint. But
it was like a much better version of Time in a Bottle.
Yeah, way better. Way better than Time in a Bottle, and certainly way better than Sweet Dreams Are Made of This.
That's actually the one I was referring to. The second one, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This.
So what about Time in a Bottle?
Well, I used Time as a Bottle kind of as a description of the scene in general, because it was the first one. But Time in a Bottle actually was really good.
Yeah, because it had such an inventive camera work, but this had more.
It was the first time, and it wasn't. They didn't over tag it and make it extremely over the top, ridiculous with stupid CGI effects and blurry cheeks. Or I don't want to talk about that.
We're just gonna go off on another tangent.
You just want to leave X-Men Apocalypse in the heap where you found it, but. And I will agree with you that, as I said, I will agree with you that is the best part of the movie, but where the movie falls down for me as far is the story being told.
Really?
Yeah, because even though I do agree that the story being told is appropriate, and it does fit the character very, very well, I just felt like it wasn't told as cleanly or as crisply as other versions of the story that I've seen that dealt with the exact same subject and with the exact same mechanics of Lone Wolf and Cub. You want to talk about Shane. We want to talk about The Last of Us. You want to talk about, even Lone Wolf and Cub. It's
Leon the Professional.
I felt like if I were to compare that movie with any of those movies and stories, it's not. It's just going to pale.
Yeah. It's a classic like that, sure, but in its own right, it's pretty obvious the movie was trying to homage those films, certainly, because the entire thing, the trek across the desert, it did feel very much like one of those things. It wasn't quite an ambling, but it was obvious that they were on this journey. It wasn't just so much about just, well, it did end up kind of going from set piece to set piece, but the fact that they were on the run, it never felt out of place for me. It did feel earned. It did make sense that everywhere they went.
Mm-hmm. I think it just didn't resonate with me. I can't explain to you.
Suit yourself. I freaking loved it.
And I'm trying to think of like why it didn't resonate with me, and I think it comes back to, this isn't my first time with the rodeo.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that
I hear you on that part. I do.
Yeah, like this isn't the first time in the rodeo, and so I'm thinking, okay, what are you going to do to help, distance yourself from that? And well, they didn't really do much to distance themselves. They just put it, the role of Leon or the role of Shane or the role of Joel as Logan, and the only difference is that Joel didn't die at the end of The Last of Us, but all three did.
Well, I know why it didn't resonate with you. I know why the movie didn't resonate with you. Comes down to one word.
Oh, I was waiting for that opening. Thank you. And that name is Sabretooth. Sabretooth was not in the movie. Not that the trailers would have hinted that he was. They they showed that X-23 was going to be in it. I still held out. I was really hoping. And I understand why it is that the big bad was Wolverine. Because he had to face his own demons. It was symbolic.
Well, yeah, he was literally facing a version of himself in his prime.
Yeah.
That he can't outmaneuver, can't outmuscle.
The thing is,
it's like Shadow Link from Legend of Zelda 2.
I mean, the thing is, the cinematic universe uses Sabretooth all wrong. I've spoken about this before, but Sabretooth, if done properly, is a perfectly fine match for Wolverine. And there's no way that Sabretooth is dead by this time, because that's just not his character arc.
Well, we don't know that, because I don't know how much of this film is treated canonically throughout the other X-Men movies, but they do make a mention of Professor X during one of his seizures essentially killing a fuck ton of mutants. Pretty much his entire team but Logan. And it's not really sure because there's no mention of Mystique or Magneto or any of them, and it's presumed that they've also long been dead by now. So I didn't mind that so much. It was exciting though to see all the kids, these experimental test tube mutants, see where their obvious genetic donors came from. There's this one older kid that's kind of the ringleader of the group from the escapees that you don't meet until much later in the film. And you don't see his powers until even later beyond that. And he finally shows it and you realize, holy shit, this guy's Magneto's kid. And that was pretty crazy for me. You even saw Polaris, too, who's one of my favorite X-Men, who never was treated, she never really got her due. But yeah, they had a girl who could control gravity, things like that, a girl who controlled plants. I don't remember what mutant that was who controlled plant life. I know there was one, I just can't remember the name.
Yeah, that was a brutal death, though. Just...
Death by explosion by twigs.
He just got overstuffed like a Thanksgiving Day turkey. He was just death by pine needles.
But backpedaling to why I was upset about Sabretooth not being in this is because but thank you for opening that for me. I did want to talk about that. This is Wolverine's last movie. And I know they fucked it up before, but that was his arch nemesis.
Well, at least Hugh Jackman's last Wolverine movie.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I guess it kind of makes sense because he never really got a consistent good person to play Sabretooth that would resonate into this film.
Well, that goes for a lot of characters for the X-Men franchise.
It's true.
They've made a lot of missteps.
But I thought it would have been a perfect example if X-23 sees Wolverine act in this way that seems really monstrous, and then she can see, and then there's the comparison where Wolverine gets to show her Sabretooth, which what happens at the far end of the spectrum, because they all share the same feral problem.
I don't know if that would work narratively, because I know you're not very well read in X-23, or maybe, I don't know, I know you haven't read Nyx, but
no.
She is essentially feral. In the comics, she's not even verbal for a lot of it, just because she's just mind fucked. In the comic, the doctor that created her just hated her guts. For starters, he hated that she was a girl because he wanted another clone of Wolverine, and he hated Wolverine because of the fact that he escaped. So what he does is, when it comes time to coat her skeleton in adamantium, he doesn't give her any anesthetic. He leaves her awake and just restrains her and slices her open. And after that, she's just left profoundly fucked up.
But
and that's why she doesn't talk.
Charles Xavier is he eventually able to get through to her? Because in the movie, he was able to...
Yeah, she does join the team, and she's basically like a feral child, because no one ever gave her any love growing up. None of those kids. And they're surprisingly well adjusted for kids that were raised to be weapons.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like, all the kids in that movie, like, towards the end, they were just... One, like, how the fuck did they all get up there? Like, the kids managed to trek all the way up to North Dakota by themselves?
Maybe they all had their own Logan.
That just conveniently fucked off.
You know, that does raise the point, though. If those agents were so desperate to get their hands on X-23, why weren't they going after any of the other ones? Were they not deemed as dangerous somehow?
No. I think it's just... You know, that's where, again, where the story kind of fails me. It feels like there's this focus on this kid when there shouldn't be. Because they have about 24 other little kids with mutant powers that you also are valuing, apparently, but you're focusing only on this.
And they've already got the clone of Wolverine.
Yeah, they already do. So it's like, what's so special about her?
Yeah.
And the other thing, didn't the nurse who helped her escape say that they were going to destroy the children because they already got their Wolverine clone?
Yeah, like they already got their Wolverine clone, so now, they said, okay, we'll set them free. Well, you don't want them set free because then it'll eventually obviously it'll tie back to you. I get why X-23 needs to be captured, just in general, the last thing you want is a mutant running around who's feral, but it's like they don't even know, like they don't even mention the 22 other kids that are also free.
It wasn't 22, was it? It was about a half a dozen.
There was about a dozen kids.
I don't know if there being that many. Maybe 7 or 8.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know what the hard count is on the amount of kids, but the point is that she wasn't the only one. But up until the nurse mentions that there were other kids that somehow escaped their facility and made it all the way up to North Dakota for apparently a long enough timeline that they can wait for days on end just for X-23 to show up, that you have to wonder, like, why weren't they, like, looking for those kids too? Just this one.
Yeah.
And that, like... It's simultaneously...
When they already have someone who's got the same abilities as her in the Logan clone.
Especially the Logan. I get why maybe you want to hold on to, like, the Polaris clone or you want to hold on to the Magneto clone especially. But, nah, it just feels like...
You don't understand. She's also got claws in her feet.
And as the movie script, that's probably because of her genes.
Because of a lion.
Because of her genders. Like, well, thank you, Patrick Stewart. That was a completely necessary addition for this movie.
I think they did that just so people wouldn't, I don't know, people would be like, well, how come she has weird things on her feet? If she's a clone of Wolverine, she shouldn't have that. Who cares?
It's like...
Who cares?
Yeah, Sabretooth.
Like, why does she
have them? He just had the claws.
Like, why does she
manifest differently?
Why does she have 2 claws instead of 3 like Wolverine?
Yeah, it's stupid.
It's just like, who gives a shit? It's like that part, that shit doesn't bother me so much. But like the fact that the plot just sort of like doesn't really care about the other kids until they care about the kids, and this misdirected focus on X-23 when realistically she's small potatoes compared to like 8 or 9 preteens up in North Dakota that you can't account for. I think that's a much more pressing matter for them to focus on than just the...
I think it should have been focused solely on Logan and X-23. I thought that's what it was going to be based on the trailer. Clearly that's not what I got, but I was not disappointed. I think, as of right now, this is my favorite film of 2017.
Surpassing John Wick 2.
It's so close, but I still think this just nudges it over the edge a little bit. It is an X-Men movie, but my god, it is about as thoroughly dark and depressing as you can get.
They
It doesn't feel.
This is true.
movie.
I mean, like it unlike lesser grimdark movies, this earned its ending. I'm not gonna deprive it of that. I mean, everything that happened in the movie happened for well, not everything, but like every turn that happened in the plot, from the character deaths to the bloodshed, it all felt earned in that regard. And
and such glorious bloodshed.
mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed the scene where the gang of cowboy redneck whatever's and just get slaughtered by Wolverine clone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fucking fantastic.
Well,
But I will say this: they needed that Deadpool intro just for some levity.
Ugh, yeah.
there was a hilarious. I was deeply confused because at first I thought it was the start of the film.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
long
They
pause.
wanted to
Yeah.
fool you. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a
They
good
totally,
job.
and they did. They totally did.
And then you saw, wait, Deadpool? Is this a cross?
And we don't even
God
need to
damn.
describe that. 'cause-
Yeah.
They're doing it again, and they're doing it right this time. Finally. But no, it was just a glorious, glorious trailer.
Mm-hmm. Glorious little short film to open,
Yeah.
Logan, and that was. My one thing about it is that you see Ryan Reynolds' ass, and it's just a regular ass. It's not like a scarred ass.
Speak for yourself.
Oh.
It's not.
I got my money's worth.
You got to see Ryan Reynolds' ass, but he's pockmarked all over. So
Yeah, but it wasn't. It didn't seem like it was.
Not
there.
that part, apparently.
That's the only part. They spared his ass.
they spared his ass.
Wait, does
but,
that mean it doesn't have mutant power?
like his ass doesn't have
That's his Achilles butt cheek? Confirm!
I don't feel like I have much left to say on the movie, other than for some reason or another, I kept spotting this. What is MAG in the movie? MAG. Like, there would be posters on like convenience stores, and there'd be posters for like movie theaters, and one kid had a MAG shirt on.
I have no clue.
And there was a little MAG bumper sticker on
Magneto.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
I didn't notice that.
Like, if you are with us still this far and you're going to see the movie regardless, look in the background of the frame for posters with MAG on it. There's a kid who's wearing an MAG shirt. This is happening so often in the movie that I'm thinking this has to be for
It's like
something.
at some point, someone's like, dude, your shirt's really neato.
Magneto? And you know what? That does bring up another point. In this universe, the X-Men comics and merchandise exist. They're canon.
Mm-hmm.
One of the experimental children is carrying around a Wolverine action figure with his classic blue and yellow outfits. And
Yeah.
there's X-Men comics all throughout the film. It's pointed back to and alluded to several times. And I found that so fascinating. Like, in this universe, were the comics built on their past exploits? Is that why Logan is so kind of annoyed to see them whenever he does?
I just want to know who has the licensing rights to that. Like, who sold the licensing rights to the...
Is that where Logan get all his money from? Just from royalties?
I don't know. Also, I think this is the first Marvel movie in a long, long, long time that doesn't have a Stan Lee cameo in it.
Oh my god, you're right.
That's right.
I mean,
At least not the one he found.
And everything is like oh, it's because he's not around in that time. But no, everything is like a, old and withered version of itself in this movie. So Stanley's just there normal.
I'm just...
I don't know what
I'm
you guys
already
are all complaining about.
I'm already old and withered. I'm gonna be living forever. I'm the one who is above all.
That's what I liked about it, though,
Yeah.
is you see these characters that are way past their prime, that you would never imagine would happen to the X-Men. The X-Men are just gone. They're just gone, and it's such a bleak world that you would never expect from such beloved characters. And they really did take that chance, and it paid off. It was a very powerful, emotional film, and I cannot recommend it enough. I really can't.
I know there's one particular point you wanted to address, Gabe. We kind of blue balled you on that, but
No, the biggest one was Sabretooth, but I'm not even done with that.
Oh,
That'll
yeah?
be my final thoughts.
no. Oh, okay. But do you want us to softball you the ending shot?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
all right,
we should keep this under 40 minutes. So.
All right, ending shot.
Man,
Go.
you get the middle seat and suddenly just the decider.
Well, One Piece, because we've already gone on so many tangents, and people complain that these videos go way too long anyway.
Oh, great. Great, you just became a hero. Let's all clap for the hero.
I'm just trying to keep you boys on the straight and narrow. Alright? You gotta keep things focused, move it along.
I just love how, like, unfocused you are now that you're not in the middle sea. It's like power. I need to sit there and see what happens.
Next time, yeah,
Just
we'll
to
do
see
it.
what happens.
See what you turn into.
It's probably gonna be worse. You don't want that.
Stay on topic, all right? Let's. So we were talking about Portal, but yeah.
Okay, so are we softballing it?
Yeah, softballing the ending.
Yeah.
Let's just. All right.
Yeah, speaking
Here's-
about, like
here's
I said,
the-
speaking of the heavy symbolism.
Yeah.
So,
Heavy pitch right over the plate.
okay. And
That's not how you play baseball.
that's how I played baseball.
Are you the catcher? Or are you the batter? I thought I was.
I never really figured that part out.
We're not talking about baseball!
I wasn't much of a team sport kind of person.
You don't say.
I usually tried to, like, hit it away from me. Ah!
So you're afraid of balls coming towards you?
No, that's fine. What are we talking about?
Portal. Come on, stay on topic.
Okay. So Logan dies. Spoilers. But he's buried in not much of a grave. They put rocks over him.
Just like fucking Captain Kirk at the end of Generations.
Oh god, yeah. I forgot about that. I repressed that memory.
Hey, you know who buried him? Patrick Stewart.
It's all connected. But
yeah,
yes, they do bury him.
They bury him.
Laura recites the quote from the same movie that
from
Xavier
Shane,
showed her.
From Shane, yeah.
Again. But and they top it with a cross at the head of the tomb, or the rock burial.
You know, stereotypical grave stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
Where I mean, that's what you do.
It's just what you do.
It's not like we're gonna put like a Star of David or something, but sticks like trying to macrame.
Macro-based sticks. That would take talent.
I mean,
Like
a simple grave for a simple man.
like one of those macrame owls from the 70s that you
So they put the cross at the head of the grave.
And
the
they
leader
walk
kid
off.
says, you know, we gotta go, we have to keep moving.
X-23 comes back and does what nobody expected and turns it over makes it an X. The cross.
Symbolism!
It's an X now. You see, like...
Oh, I can think of one person who's gonna hate me for that.
I just wanted like Logan's hand to come out from the rock pile,
Yeah.
take the X, and then take the X, and then turn it back into the cross, and then cover himself back with rocks.
So, you can take that however you want to, of course. I'd like to take it as an anti-religious statement, personally.
I think that's bullshit. I don't think that was in any way the writer's intention at all.
No, I know what the writer's intention was allegedly supposed to be, and that was
symbolism.
well, it was supposed to symbolize the end of the movies. It was supposed to symbolize the end of
Burying the film. Well, that is an interesting point, though. Do you think that they're going to reboot the entire franchise from this point?
Oh, it'll continue to something, but that was supposed to symbolize the end of Hugh Jackman's.
I'm kind of hoping to see a sequel where I want to see what happens with the kids. I want the kids to form the new X-Men. With Laura Linney at the helm.
Oh, I'd love to see the X-20, continue in like a Harry Potter scope of movies, of X-Men movies.
Like 7.
You get to see her grow up as the X-23, and then
As
later on go on to do a Swiss
I'm
Army
just saying,
Man.
I
kind
want
of-
to see what happens with those kids. I want to see what happens with the mutants and how they interact, because I can see that being a really, really good kind of spin-off film.
And hopefully she doesn't get involved with Kevin Smith.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I agree, totally. And it's not an end of all Marvel. It's just the end of Hugh Jackman's.
But I am curious to see if they're going to reboot X-Men entirely, or just do that spin-off first, or what, or try and reestablish the series with those new X-Men moving forward. Because if anyone can hand the torch from Wolverine, it's X-23.
Yeah, but I do feel like it just feels like there's two different timelines that are fighting up against each other, because the current X-Men movies are still stuck in like the 1970s and 80s. And then we already know how the X-Men are going to end, according to the long distant past. So it just feels like you're just going to give up on McAvoy and Fassbender and pretty much everyone. Actually, considering how Apocalypse ended, that might be for the best. But
We don't speak of that.
what was your favorite part of Apocalypse? The part where they played Four Horsemen while the Archangel was born?
See, again, you know this series doesn't do subtleties, so I fail to see why you're a little bit upset about the
I'm not upset about it. I'm still.
The allegories were so heavy-handed in this one. It's kind of par for the course.
This isn't allegorical. This is just plain old. That scene was the equivalent of a war scene set to Fortunate Son. It's like, of course. It's like, how could we have any Vietnam War movie without Fortunate Son? I think it's a crime in Hollywood. Like, I think Creedence Clearwater Revival, or goddammit, who's the guitarist?
Has like a patent on
No,
Vietnam.
like for some reason, like
Patent on Vietnam?
he's got
no on Vietnam films.
No, on Vietnam films. No, like I don't know.
How would that work?
I don't know. Ask them.
John Fogerty. Yeah, John Fogerty.
Yeah.
It's like John Fogerty's got like photos of like New York of the film producers like dicks, and he's like, "You better put my song in one of your war movies."
Wait, of all the producers?
Yeah, all the producers' dicks, every single one of them.
Of all the analogies,
Wait, all
to
and
pick.
like all or all
Of
who
all
do
the
Vietnam?
analogies, you picked that one.
Yes, all the producers,
Wow.
every single one. It took all my mental capacity to come up with John Fogerty. Okay, when was the last time you even thought about Fogerty before I brought him up?
Sometime around never.
Exactly. Cut me some goddamn slack here. I'm not trying to. It's not like I'm trying to make a roll on fucking whose line is it anyway. All right. Talking extemporaneously is hard, fellas. It's really hard.
I mean, you're supposed to be the funny guy.
God,
I thought so.
Come on, say something funny guy.
you want to do the truffle shuffle? I could do the truffle shuffle.
Do it. Do it.
No, Kevin Owens. No, Kevin Owens is gone.
You saw it here, folks.
Come on, guys.
Thank you.
It would have been better with Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens did the truffle shuffle.
I wonder if you can kind of make him talk.
I can do the truffle shuffle.
See, and now your life is complete.
I don't think.
Die happy.
Yes.
I don't think we can really recover from that. I think
so sorry. It's just so distracting.
So, anything else you guys have to say?
I've said my piece about the movie. I appreciate what it tried to do, but I've seen it done better many times before.
I concur.
For me, is it a perfect movie? Of course not. But it still, to me, was incredibly entertaining. I do think I would have preferred if it had focused more on just Logan and Laura. They were just traveling through to this destination together, or even just lost in the woods, kind of like I forget what the name of the comic is called, but the one where Logan befriends Mystique before they had their huge falling out. I was expecting something more along that lines of two kind of adversaries coming together, trying to understand each other. But for the movie that I got, I loved it. I just loved it. I love that they finally gave X-23 her due. The characters were great. The performances were great. The setting was fantastic. I just, all in all, huge recommend.
Okay. I agree with both points, but yeah, I definitely recommend it. And in theaters. I'm still gonna be butthurt that my favorite guy wasn't in it.
As is the fate with every fanboy.
Yeah, but it especially seemed hurtful for this film because it has always been in the comics so important to his character, that relationship with Sabretooth. So I felt that instead of Hugh Jackman getting another role in the film as himself, that they could have actually had Victor Creed show up as the Merc, because it fit the role of them having him at that point. And I felt it would have showed scope for like where X-23 and Logan is, and what happens when the feral part gets out of control, because that's what Sabretooth always was. He was what happens to Logan if he doesn't stay steady. And Charles Xavier could get through to X-23 and Logan, but no matter how hard he tried, he never could do it with Victor Creed. And so that would be kind of like the finality of, defeating him was kind of like defeating himself. So it didn't seem necessary to have himself be in the movie, because that's the role that Victor Creed kind of was. And I'm sad that didn't work out. But other than that, it was a great movie. I've seen other, same themes done before, better, like Leon the Professional or Last of Us, I guess. But that was a game. So, God, it sure was like a movie, though. But, I don't know if I can say it was the best of the year or better than John Wick 2.
I loved it. The action scenes and just sheer carnage alone. I loved it.
And
you think the headshots from
really
John Wick were
good.
cool? Try head claws. So many head claws.
It's true. They had some downright fucking savage scenes in this movie. CG aside,
Yeah.
they were really brutal, and I appreciated that very much. But it really dragged its feet and spun its wheels a little too much for me at times, and I felt like they could have had better filler.
If they must have filler at all.
Yeah.
I think the negative parts of this movie affected my enjoyment of this movie more than in any one of your two. And by that by that same extension, the highs wasn't just as high for me, like personally speaking. So I feel like ours is basically the ramping up towards like how one appreciates a good movie. Like, pretty good, I just didn't want to see it again too. I really like that movie, but I can see it too.
No, for me, it's not that I don't want to see it again, well, I don't, because it's just so intense and emotional.
Yeah.
It's
Or at
like,
least have time.
Yeah.
yeah, it really is. Oh man, it's just you'll leave the theater so somber, but it's such a good movie, so fulfilling to me. So go watch it. Don't listen to these two guys. Go watch
I
it.
give it a solid.
I gave it a recommendation. Come on.
I give it a solid.
I'm sorry, I'm not
79.
ejaculating
Not
confetti
good
right
enough.
now,
You
but
must
come
agree
on.
with my subjective opinion on everything.
Would you give it a solid 79% Rotten Tomatoes score?
I give it a solid.
Because that's how they work.
Yeah, I give it a solid 78. That is a C+ movie. Actually,
Few comments.
I'd give it an A-.
I didn't think we would be grading these movies, but apparently we are.